every piece of advice you've gotten about how to stop caring what people think is wrong. It's well-intentioned, it sounds liberating, and it's neurologically impossible to follow. The problem is framed as a character flaw, something you can fix with enough willpower or positive thinking. But the truth is much deeper and much more biological. This isn't a weakness. It's a survival circuit carved into your brain over millions of years. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might realize you've been fighting the wrong battle entirely. The popular wisdom tells a simple story. Just be yourself, ignore the haters, live your life for you because other people's opinions are just noise. This philosophy champions the sovereign individual, beholden to nothing but their own values. It's the creed of the artist, the entrepreneur, the iconoclast. It feels powerful to say that your self-worth is internally generated, independent of outside approval. On the surface, this is the ultimate freedom. Why should the judgment of a stranger or even a friend have the power to derail your day, your week, or your life? This perspective argues that giving that power away is a choice, and you can simply choose to take it back. That sounds convincing, but your brain has a serious problem with this advice. The human brain contains a circuit that is exquisitely sensitive to social judgment. Researchers like Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA placed people in an fMRI scanner and had them play a simple video game of catch with two other players. At first, the ball is passed around to everyone. Then, the other two players, who are actually just part of the program, start throwing the ball only to each other. The participant is completely excluded. The brain activity during this moment of social rejection is stunning. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula light up intensely. These are the exact same regions that fire when you experience physical pain. A broken leg, a burn, a punch. Your brain processes the pain of being left out with the same hardware it uses for bodily injury. Think about that. The ache you feel when you see friends post photos from an event you weren't invited to is neurologically real. The sting of a backhanded compliment or the silence after you share a vulnerable idea are not just in your head. They are physical events happening in your neural tissue. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. For our ancestors, being part of a tribe was the only way to survive. Getting food, defending against predators, raising children, it all required the group. Banishment was a death sentence. Your brain is still running this ancient software. The drive to be liked and accepted is a deep, primal survival instinct, as fundamental as the drive for food or water. Telling someone to just stop caring what people think is like telling them to just stop feeling hungry. You can ignore it for a while, but the biological alarm bells will get louder and louder until they are impossible to ignore. So we're hardwired to care. Are we just stuck then? A puppet dancing on the strings of social approval forever? The situation seems bleak if our biology is the enemy. It suggests a life sentence of managing a pain that never truly goes away. And yet, there's another level to this. The problem with fighting biology head-on is that biology always wins. You cannot use willpower to defeat a system that is more fundamental than the part of you that generates willpower. Trying to suppress the feeling of social pain is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes enormous, constant effort. The moment your attention slips, the ball shoots back to the surface, often with more force than before. This is why affirmations and declarations of independence so often fail in the long run. You can stand in the mirror and tell yourself you don't care, but your nervous system knows you're lying. It keeps a constant subconscious tally of your social standing, a process some neuroscientists call social homeostasis. Just like your body works to maintain a stable temperature, your brain works to maintain a stable level of social connection. When that level drops, when you feel rejected, criticized, or isolated, your brain triggers a powerful, uncomfortable, and deeply motivating state of distress. Its only goal is to push you to repair the social bond and get back to safety. This is a machine designed for one purpose: to make you care. Fighting this machine directly is a guaranteed path to exhaustion and failure. But the mechanism that creates the prison is also the key to unlocking it. The fact that your brain treats social information as a high-priority survival signal reveals the way out. The solution isn't to turn the system off. That would be like trying to deafen yourself to avoid hearing criticism. The solution is to change the inputs, The goal is to move from being a passive victim of all social feedback to becoming an active curator of it. You have to choose whose opinions get processed as a survival-level threat and whose get filed as irrelevant background noise. Total indifference is a myth. Selective, strategic caring is the actual skill. Imagine your brain has a board of directors for your life. By default, you let anyone and everyone have a seat at the table. A random commenter on the internet, a judgmental relative you see once a year, a coworker you barely know. Their opinions get a vote on your decisions, your emotions, your self-worth. This is the default state of the socially wired brain. All input is treated as potentially important. The real work is to consciously, deliberately fire most of that board. You get to decide who stays. You build a new council. This might be a small group. Your partner, a mentor you deeply respect, a couple of trusted friends, and maybe your own highest self. These are the only people whose opinions are allowed into the physical pain circuit. Everyone else's feedback is downgraded. It's still data. It might even be useful, but it doesn't get to hurt you. How is this possible at a neural level? Your brain builds and maintains mental models of other people's minds. This is called theory of mind. When you consistently focus on, value, and interact with the opinions of your chosen council, the neural pathways representing their perspectives become stronger, thicker, more myelinated. They become superhighways. Simultaneously, the pathways representing the opinions of the thousands you have fired begin to atrophy. They wither from disuse. You are not fighting the fear signal. You are changing which inputs are allowed to trigger it. A professional critic might write a scathing review of an author's book. If the author's council consists of her editor and 2 fellow writers she admires, and they tell her the work is solid, the negative review is processed as noise. Her brain has learned which signals represent the true tribe, and which are just predators howling in the distance. It's a powerful framework, but a framework is useless without instructions. How do you actually fire someone from your mental board, especially if their voice is already loud in your head? The answer is one of the hardest truths in all of psychology and neuroscience. You cannot think your way into a new way of feeling. You must act your way into a new way of thinking. Your brain has a strong prior belief. Social disapproval is dangerous. Affirmations are just words. They provide no new evidence to challenge this belief. To change the belief, you must provide your brain with contradictory data. You must act in a way that risks disapproval, and then let your brain register the fact that you survived. This is exposure therapy for the soul. Think of the first time you had to say no to someone important when you knew it would disappoint them. The physical anxiety is immense. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, your anterior cingulate cortex is screaming, "Danger! Tribal exile imminent!" You do it anyway, and then nothing catastrophic happens. The person is disappointed, maybe even angry, but you are not cast out into the wilderness to be eaten by wolves. You are okay. You just gave your brain a powerful new piece of data. Disappointing this person was survivable. The next time you have to do it, the fear signal is a little weaker. The 10th time, it might barely register. Each act of courage in the face of potential disapproval is a vote you cast for your own sovereignty. You are literally rewiring your brain. You are weakening the synaptic connections in the fear circuit and strengthening the prefrontal cortex's ability to regulate it. You are teaching your ancient survival mechanism about the realities of the modern world. The alternative is what most people do. They avoid the potential for disapproval at all costs. They say yes when they mean no. They soften their opinions. They stay silent when they should speak. Each time you do this, you do the opposite of rewiring. You reinforce the original belief. You feed the fear. You tell your brain, "See, I was right to be afraid. I accommodated, and that's why I'm safe." With every accommodation, the cage gets a little smaller. The range of things you're allowed to do, say, and be shrinks until you're living a life designed to please a phantom audience and you've forgotten who you were before the performance began. This is the core tension. The price of connection is the permanent vulnerability to social pain. There is no vaccine against it. The path forward is to accept that you're wired to care and then take on the difficult lifelong work of choosing who is worthy of that care. It is a shift from wanting to be fearless to becoming courageous. Fearlessness is a state. Courage is an action. It's the conscious decision to act according to your chosen values, especially when the fear signal is blaring. It's about building a life where the only opinions that have the power to cause you that deep, neurological pain are the opinions of the few people you've consciously and lovingly granted that power. Everyone else is just weather. So, who is on your council? Look at the people whose opinions dictate your actions, your moods, and your sense of self. Did you choose them, or did they simply wander into the boardroom and take a seat? Whose judgment makes your heart pound? And what is the first small, terrifying, and survivable vote you are going to cast to prove to your own brain that you are the one in charge?